Hi everybody, welcome back to the Hot and Cold Hobbyist. As you can tell by what's in frame, we are almost to snowboarding season. So I'd like to get ready for the 2025-2026 winter season by getting my gear ready and going back over what happened last winter. So basically, I started out sort of at the tail end of my life as a beginner snowboarder. I was still, I was linking turns and stuff, but I was still, making edge changes really slowly, and calling them edge changes is a little generous because I wasn't really getting on edge much at the beginning of the season. I was sort of making turns and slowing down with the edge a little bit, but it was basically just skid after skid. And that is where I started out. And I made a little bit of progress on my own, using some YouTube tips and things like that. I felt pretty good about the season to start out. But then I had my buddy Ian come with me, give me some pointers, and that kind of unlocked several things with my posture and with my ability to get on edge. And from there, I feel like I was into some pretty solid intermediate riding at the end of the season. Quicker edge changes, holding edge longer, doing some decent heel side carve turns, and somewhat carving on my toe side, although I would say I had a hard time holding the edge all the way through a toe side turn, even by the end of the season. Still, I was able to, I think the biggest thing that came along last season was being able to ride steeps and moguls. The mogully terrain would just kill my legs. I'd go down like one short section with moguls at the beginning of the season, and it was like, okay, well, let's take a lunch break or something. But I actually, by the end of the season, I kind of enjoyed riding moguls, and I had a lot of fun with them. Like finding spots to make quick turns and kind of charge down the mountain. I think the biggest thing I noticed was like, beginning of the season, it was like I was just sort of sliding, sometimes like falling leaf heel sliding back and forth in moguls, to the point where I was passing a bunch of other people on the blue runs in the mogul sections. And that was, felt good. But other than that, I'd say there was also, I got a lot more confident with speed, and I got confident getting my board off the ground. I did my first jumps last winter, and that was jumps off side hits, but it was also jumps in the park. That's something I don't really want to become like a full-on park rider hitting all kinds of rails and features and stuff, but doing a few 50-50s on boxes, maybe learn a board slide or something. That'd be a nice thing to add to my repertoire. And I would definitely like to get better at the jumps and getting a little bit more pop, a little more air, and learning some grabs, and even maybe some basic spins, 180, 360. I don't know if a 360 is in the cards this winter, but we'll see how fast I'm progressing on everything else, and maybe we'll add it in. Now, if you're curious about the timeline of this video, we are a few days away from Christmas. We're in late December right now, mid to late December right now. And I am getting my board ready right now because the first snowboarding trip of the year is going to be to Whistler Blackcomb. And I am super excited. It's going to be my first time there. going to be a holiday break trip, which is just really cool to be able to fit that in and be able to kind of budget for it on top of that, you know. But it is fascinating because that's about the only snowboarding I can do right now on the Epic Pass, at least reasonably, unless I wanted to head to like Colorado right now. Even though you're watching this in the future, and I hope this has all been resolved by the time this video comes out, um, we had crazy weather in Western Washington, and the highway to Stevens Pass is like covered in debris and like washed out in some places and just like really damaged and impassable. And so getting ready for this season is going to be a little interesting because I'm trying to stay positive and hope that they're going to make a route up to the pass. But I also am a little nervous that, you know, I'm going to get like a day and a half, maybe 2 days of snowboarding in Whistler, and then I'm just going to have to wait for the highway to open back up for a long time. I don't think that'll be the case. I think they're going to at least have a temporary fix and maybe an alternate route. It may take me longer to get there or something, but again, trying to stay positive. You know, the other thing I wanted to talk about was my sort of goals going into this winter. Because where I ended up was a pretty good place, I'd say. I was really happy with the end of the season, but there were things I clearly identified that I wanted to go into this year with the intent to work on. And so I think, you know, a couple of them I've already mentioned, which is like, I want to be able to get a little bit more pop off of a jump, get a little more air without having to, you know, scream down and not do any speed checks and just launch myself, but actually do like the right mechanics to get height off of a jump. And that should open me up to being able to do a few, you know, grabs or spins or whatever else if I can get those jump mechanics correct and get a little more height as I'm leaving the snow. The other thing that's really prominent is improving how I do my toe side turns. And really, I mean, it's all my turns, right? I can always improve my turning. But I would say I have this tendency to not want to finish a toe side turn on edge. And it will always kind of kick that rear leg out and turn it into a skid. And that is something that I want to work on this season. Not that I can't do, you know, skidded turns and speed checks and stuff, but that's not all I do. That I have the option of not skidding out my toe side turns. So I guess that's the way I want to think about it is I am getting more versatile on both edges of the board, but it stands out more on the toe side. And even though I'll probably identify things over the season that I want to keep working on or getting better at, I really have one in mind that came up at the tail end of last season, literally on my last day of riding, where I encountered deep snow for the first time. Not powder necessarily, because, you know, it was early spring in Washington, so it was heavy. It was that Cascade concrete stuff. But even then, just figuring out how to ride that stuff better. I feel like I adapted to it pretty well, even without any experience with it. But I do think that I could be a lot better at controlling turns in that kind of snow and getting the nose out of the snow a little better. And it is going to help to have a different board. This is the same board I used last year, but I did pick up another one. That'll be featured in another video talking about my different boards I'm using this season. But yeah, I'd really like to be able to kind of cruise down deeper snow, powder, even heavy, wet, deep snow that we sometimes get here. Learn how to have a little bit more fun and not wear out as quickly when I'm in that kind of snow. So I'm hoping that I can advance my riding this season in general. I'm hoping that I can take on new kinds of snow, new kinds of terrain. Really excited to try, another mountain that I haven't been on before. But yeah, I really would like to work up to get to do some advanced riding, new tricks, new things this season. But most of all, I hope that Stevens Pass gets the road repairs and the snowfall that it needs to have a really good snowboarding season this year. In any case, I'm just a few days away from my first snowboarding of this winter season. Subscribe while you're here so you don't miss those Whistler videos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.